Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're on again. So we're talking about what we want to talk about at the moment, which is futures and how we think about that.
Right. And that it's an incredible opportunity for us to dive into the unknown.
Yes. And I'm very aware that I think that I'm wanting to be an example to people. That, I mean, I do. Ramesh and I were driving in a car to the venue one day. We picked up this lady who works in one of the resorts, and she was sitting in the back of the car, and she said, "I'm 60." She said, "Look at me, I'm still working." And Ramesh said, "Do you want to know how old she is?" and it's that, I think that expectation that people have about age, especially in certain countries, in India, women and age, I think, is a factor. And so that's very important to me, is my fitness, my health, my well-being matters a lot for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah, I totally agree. For me, it all got real as I began to visit my mother.
Yes.
As she was declining. So she was I would say this was about, her age was about 88 at the time. She died at 95. And it was for those 7 years, I visited her every other month. And I watched her decline in the course of, and that really became a compelling motivation for me to, one, acknowledge my age, but two, to do what you're talking about, is like take care of fitness, take care of nutrition, take care of sleep, take care of, kind of the emotional and mental side of well-being at a new level.
Yeah.
So yeah, that commitment is certainly there. And I see that happening. I guess one thing I would say to you is, when I think about what you just said earlier, which was last year was very full of programs, this year's going to be very full of programs. I think that is part of your past, or I don't think full of programs is the new season.
No.
And the question then might be, what is, if that's not it? Because that's what that is the equivalent of you living in the same house for 40 years.
I know, I was thinking that, of not wanting climate change.
Yeah.
I kind of got that connection from what we were talking about earlier. Yes. Because I feel this, I feel this great loyalty to people, when I do a program somewhere, that not to just do it and walk away, but to continue. I think that loyalty and that commitment is very important. And I don't know, if it's not lots of programs, it's like, well, what is it? I don't know what.
I mean, the image that comes to mind for me is you as mother. There was a period where you were deeply involved with your kids because they were in the house, and then they left the house and they had their own family, or had their own job or whatever. And you have continued to be committed to them, but it's a very different way now than it was, when I first met you.
Yes, I still a great commitment to them. I still feel very, almost like more involved in some ways, although not physically present with them to the same degree.
Well, and I think that's a potential model for the new season here.
In what way?
Well, that if you say that you're more committed, which is a high value for you with regard to the people you work with, how then can you be more committed but not having to be physically present?
Yes.
So for one thing that comes to mind, for example, is your alumni day is an example of that, where you're already doing it. Is you are offering the opportunity for others to choose to maintain the contact that you have chosen yourself, right?
Yes.
And it's touching base, but it's touching base in a very different way. And the presupposition of it is that you you have embodied all the things that I may have given you. And there, of course, there's always more, but you who are coming have embodied this, and now you're coming simply to share, which is a very different frame than coming to learn.
Yes. I think that does touch on it. I mean, I suppose one of the things that has changed over time is that, for example, in India, and I work with Ramesh. It's he's, if you like, studied with me for a long time now. I can walk into those programs, and I just know that they're set up, that, he will have provided that space, that framework. That happens more often now. And
right.
That makes that very possible then for me to walk into a program almost as a guest to it,
right,
rather than to be the overall initiator. So there has been that shift, and that does make a difference for me.
Yep. And again, I would suggest that's part of your progression, and there's another shift coming beyond
shift,
that,
which is
to be discovered.
To be discovered.
Yeah, because so for example, that is very familiar to me. That is the grandparent role, among others.
Yes.
I mean, that's one way to talk about it. We as grandparents, Benedict and I, we walk into a structure, a family structure that is set up, and the kind of the operational details, if you will, of the family are being run by Christian and Marie. And we get to participate and contribute and be of value in that framework. I think that, at least something I've been meditating on is, I think a next iteration is understanding that you are an elder.
Yes.
That's something that that's an identity that I stepped into and that I have been exploring as what the expressions of it are.
Yeah.
And one of the things I know about elder identity when I'm in it is that it's very much what we were talking about earlier it's about holding space, about asking questions, about allowing the wisdom of our years to be manifest and available. But it's really not about training. It's not about skill development. It's not about any of those things. It's a whole other level. And once I kind of made that decision that I could accept that as an identity, I stepped into a way of attracting it to myself. And I think that is what happens when we make identity shifts. We start to attract whatever that identity needs in relationship to the identity.
Yes. I think when you were talking about using the word elder, I think India is a great place for that, because there's such a respect for elders. I mean, I really value the way that I'm treated there. I'm a teacher and an elder, and it's about the best combination you can have, really, in India.
Right.
And I mean, and that's that respect that comes with that, and the responsibility that comes with that as well, is remarkable. I don't know what the words I'd use for it, but yes.
Then my question to you comes right back to where we were talking earlier about you seeing people that you mentor who get it in one context and don't have it in others.
Yes.
How are you manifesting your eldership outside of India?
Outside of India, probably not in the same way as in India, because the whole environment in India, almost like that whole space for me to be that way.
Exactly. That's my point.
And it's not about being an old person,
No. What I'm suggesting is about you with you.
Say that again, you pause there.
Yeah, it's about you carrying that space of India with you wherever you go.
Yes.
Because, it's saying it's because of that space. And it's true. I mean, India creates that. And what we're talking about is you internalizing it. So wherever you go, you have the India space around you.
Yes, that sounds very appealing.
That is who you are.
Mm.
That is this work that we're talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about.
Because I think you do that.
That's
Not, you said you've made decisions fairly recently, but I've experienced you in the sense of, I often think of you in in particular situations when I think Jean would be purposeful here. You're always purposeful.
Yep.
Um,
that rings true.
and there's times when I think, I'm not sure I want to be as purposeful all the time.
Right.
Or it's a different kind of purposeful, perhaps. But I'm very aware of it. You come to mind. You're a very strong reference for me in that respect. There's no wasted words or waste.
Right. Yeah, I mean, in a way, I agree with that. I feel like I choose to be on alert, and I'm conscious when I'm not, and I kind of bring myself back.
Yes.
But I mean, in this regard, the opportunity for you is to recontextualize your eldership, and so that to me would mean across every context, that's the space that you kind of like wear it like your clothes. You just walk into a space and it is India, effectively. I mean, if you take the metaphor.
Yes, it's interesting because there's all sorts of like kind of definitions and images going on in relation to that at the minute as to, because elder has had a particular association, I think, as a word, but it's having very different associations.
Right. What are the differences?
Oh, well, the differences are, for example, elder in the traditional sense can be, somebody who's lived in the same house.
Right.
I think of my mum, she did live in the same house.
Right.
All her married life and all her widowed life.
Right.
She didn't change the furniture hardly, I don't think. And she was very active, but she deteriorated towards the end of her life. And so there's things that kind of almost become expected with elder.
Right.
Whereas I'm reminding myself of exemplars of people who are elders who I admire because of their vivacity, but their strength, their presence. So I'm redefining elder as we speak.
Great. That's great. That will allow you to carry it with you.
Yes.
I mean, because you are an elder.
Yes. Just still feel funny. I haven't quite got that though. It's like oh. Yeah.
All of your time in India has simply been preparation for you to say yes to that identity.
Yes. But it's like I've often said to people, Scarlett, my eldest granddaughter says, "You're getting very squidgy, grandmother." Then she said, "Are you going to die?" I said, "Yes." But not just yet. And she just went, "Oh," just wandered off. So they have that just acceptance of who I am, which is just beautiful. I think.
Yeah.
I think the first time Scarlett, particularly because she and I talk quite a lot, the first time she said to me, "I love you, Grandma," and I thought, but she doesn't know what I do. I thought, how bad's that? It's like
signal.
And that unconditional loving, I think, is
that's a picture of this new season.
Which is a picture?
The unconditional love that you receive, but it has to start with the unconditional love you give yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
And so the whole doing and performing and delivering and all that suddenly has got to take a second place.
Yes.
To where you're loving yourself for being who you are, being whole, being an elder, being all that you are.
And I think that feels like almost like because I believe in discipline, in exercise, and
Right.
you know, like Feldenkrais, yoga, cycling, and so on. And it feels like that requires the same amount of discipline.
Which requires the same amount of discipline.
To treat myself in that way, to think of myself in that way.
You might have to be purposeful.
Might have to be purposeful, might have to remind myself from time to time. Yes. Can I have a purposeful free zone?
All right.
I'm just thinking, for example, this is interesting. I'm thinking like this evening, Friday evening, often go and meet friends in the bar in the village. You know, and it's like, now how does this manifest itself here?
But think about this: true elders, like we're talking about, are full of fun and joy and,
yes,
and surprise and humor, and it's actually something that makes them very attractive.
Yes.
And you have that in spades.
And this, I think it's also, I'll tell you one thing I do think I own now much more is the preparedness to speak a truth to people.
Yeah.
Often in a provocative way, which I think I held back from a long time, really. And